we have to go to Mama Vio Swabwaji, and she is speaking to lawyer Ankomah. And we know that Mama Vio were touching on many issues, but particularly with bribery allegations in Parliament. What can you say will be the start of your conversations when we are with you, Mama Vio?
Really big. We're told already the 5-member committee set up on Tuesday to investigate the allegation is beginning its work today. Pressure group Occupy Ghana has said that a police investigation would have been better. But what do they think about this 5-member committee, considering there are some, people in that committee who people say would do a good job? Ankomah is a member of the pressure group Occupy Ghana, and he joins us live for a conversation. Good morning, sir. Thank you.
Good morning. Thanks for coming.
So first of all, what do you think about this 5-member committee that Parliament set up on Tuesday?
Well, we think that it's in place, but it works within a certain remit and boundary. It is a committee of Parliament to investigate the allegations within the context of Parliament and what Parliament does, and to see whether there's any veracity to the allegations. And if there is, they might take their own internal steps. If there isn't, they might take their own internal steps. That's a completely different kettle of fish from a police investigation into crime. So the same incident might sound in parliamentary inquiries, might sound in civil law, but that does not stop the police from doing what it has to do, that there's been a public allegation of crime, attempted bribery, attempted corruption of public officers in the course of their public duties. The police have a duty to Ghanaians to investigate this, even if to show that the allegation is untrue.
So even with this committee work, and you still think the police can go ahead and investigate also?
Not just can, they should. Absolutely. They are parallel processes. The law is very different. The criminal law on bribery and corruption is very different from a parliamentary inquiry as to whether its rules have been breached and what to do. And I think that the parliamentary inquiry might even go beyond this and address the issues as to the hints and winks and suggestions that, look, this is the normal fare of Parliament, and that people who are appearing before Parliament, either to push some to pay monies to committees, etc., etc. That has been existing for too long. So Parliament has an opportunity to investigate this and probably clean its stables to the extent that the stables may be dirty. But that's different. The police are investigating whether a crime has taken place. If a crime has taken place, the police, in conjunction with the Attorney General's Department, will be expected to prosecute. Two different things.
How does it work? Shouldn't somebody go to the police to make a report?
No. If somebody is killed, who makes a report to the police? The police will not need a complainant in this instance. The statement has been made. It is out there. The voice clip exists. We expect a proactive police service, not to sit and say we are waiting for somebody to take a car and drive to our office and make an official complaint. Nobody's going to do that. The police, I believe, should and will step up to the plate and investigate this.
What would they be seeking to achieve?
Like any other crime. Has a crime been committed? The people who made the allegation, the people against whom the allegations have been made, I expect to go through the full police questioning process. And the police from that will determine whether or not indeed a crime has been committed, whether or not there's sufficient evidence to convict. And as the normal fare, they'll move their docket to the Attorney General's Department, which might decide to take up the prosecution by itself or let the police handle the prosecution. It's a normal thing that happens in this country, and our insistence is that it should happen in this case too. Parallel, completely different tracks, they lead to different results.
But if you listen to details of this, somebody's making an allegation, a direct allegation, the person involved is totally denying it. The person making the allegation doesn't have any evidence.
How do we know?
Because the package was returned.
How do we know there's evidence? There's no evidence. What you probably means that there's no physical evidence. But there's also what the law calls viva voce evidence, oral testimony. And at some point, the courts even decide cases oath against oath, because it's not every evidence that comes in writing. Some evidence is in fact, the vast majority of evidence is spoken. And so if the statement that there's no evidence, respectfully, there could be. Who knows? But the testimony of one, corroborated by another, ought to be taken seriously. It is possible the allegation is false. It is possible the allegation is unfounded. It's possible the allegation is misinformed. But the police owe a duty to the people of Ghana to literally go through this with, with all the CID expertise that they have, and to determine whether or not a case has been made for prosecution.
How about Chraj? There are people, I think on Monday, who are calling on Chraj to step in.
If Chraj wants to, it may. You see, I'll tell you what. The history under the Fourth Republic has given us cause sometimes to be extremely cynical about some of these organizations. But if Chraj wants to go ahead, it could. The last time, it was Parliament deferring to a Chraj investigation, which I thought was ridiculous. Parliament saying we will not investigate a matter because Chraj is investigating it. That was absolutely ridiculous. But if Chraj wants to do an investigation, I think it jolly well might go ahead and do it. Its mandate, this mandate demands that it investigates allegations of corruption. Indeed, the Supreme Court has said that specifically with Chraj, if it has to deal with corruption, it doesn't even need a complainant. It doesn't even need a formal complaint. So if Chraj is up and doing, Chraj may decide to defer to Parliament. If I were running Chraj, I would not defer to Parliament. I'll go ahead and do my investigation.
Would you not be activating all these institutions? You say police investigate, Chraj also go ahead and investigate, and Parliament itself is investigating itself.
Chraj doesn't investigate crime. Parliament doesn't investigate crime. It's the police that investigates crime. In fact, Chraj has been told, I believe in the Richard Nani case, that it has no power to investigate or pronounce on crime. And so what we need to understand is that one act can trigger various legal jurisdictions. And each of them, unless they decide, unless there's a law that says one must step behind for the other to happen, each of them must be triggered at the same time. We need to get to the bottom of this. And for some of these institutions, it will be a test on themselves. So let Parliament investigate itself. And I believe that Chraj, if he wants to step out to the plate, ought to commence his own investigation, unless he decides for some reason to defer to Parliament. But definitely police cannot defer to Parliament, and Parliament cannot defer to police. The police investigation must be happening as we speak.
Do you trust Parliament itself to do a good job with this 5-member committee that it set up on Tuesday?
I tend to judge Parliament on a case-by-case basis. I think that the ruling not to investigate a matter and defer to Chraj was disgraceful. It should not have happened. Let's see what Parliament does. Parliament might redeem its image with this, or might soil its image. That is why we live in a democracy. They shouldn't hold back simply because of the issue. They should go ahead. Ghanaians are waiting to hear what Parliament will do. So this is an opportunity for Parliament to show Ghanaians what it's able to do. So my confidence or not in what they do will lie in the reports. I believe that the sweetness of the pudding is in the eating of it.
How much of a damage has this allegation with members of Parliament speaking on radio station and accusing themselves, how much of a damage has this caused the country?
I'm not sure about damage. This is a democracy. We should never think that things are better dealt with in quiet or in secret. Everything ought to be out there. That's transparency. You see, the thing that deals with corruption most is transparency. Corruption does not like light. And so as these things get opened up right there in the press, we begin to see maybe the dark underbelly of corruption, and maybe this might be our opportunity to deal with some aspects of corruption. Maybe if those stories about envelopes to MPs are true, this is an opportunity to address it, or at least make them even more careful or more circumspect if they decide to do that. Or maybe to expose that those allegations are untrue. I believe that every agency that has the power to do the investigation should be doing that now.
I want us to look at quickly the terms of reference. To establish if First Deputy Speaker Joseph Osewusu took money from Energy Minister Boakye Jacko and gave it to Minority Chief Whip Alhaji Mubarak Mohammed Muntaka. 2, to do an internal inquiry to find out whether there were attempts to bribe members of appointment committee. And the final is to look into the remits of complaints and assertions made by First Deputy Speaker about the matter. Should we be adding more to this?
I think that Parliament, yes, I think that the general suspicion or perception that things do not get to Parliament unless it's been oiled and greased with cash also needs a look at. Maybe within the context of this commission or committee, or maybe within a larger context. The allegations have gone on for so long. I think that Parliament ought to look beyond these 3 terms and add that this committee maybe should first focus on these 3. But the larger issue is that Parliament has to absolve itself. Parliament has to find a way of answering the repeated allegations that almost everything that happens to Parliament must be greased by cash, or at least show to us that is not true.
Should this sit in terms of the investigation, should it be public?
Absolutely. What do they have to hide? Let's not think that there are some people who are so important that when it comes to investigating them, it should be done in secret. If it were me, would it be done in secret? Well, how different are they from me? Simply because we elected them to serve us? This should be done in public, live TV coverage.
But that won't happen, you know that.
Says who? What? We are Ghanaians. We own this country. Parliament does not own this country. If we say Parliament should give us live TV coverage, Parliament will listen. Everybody forgets that until the presidential petition, there had never been live coverage of any TV, live TV coverage of any court proceeding. In fact, TV cameras in courts would have amounted to contempt of court. But the people of Ghana, who constitute the repository of our power, demanded that we wanted to see the proceedings, and we saw it. If we decide as a people that we want to watch what Parliament is going to do 24/7, it will happen. Parliament will have no choice. In fact, Parliament will be shooting itself in both feet and probably in its mouth if it decides that it's going to do this in camera, in secret. It should not even think about it.
Is Occupy Ghana writing to Parliament, to the Speaker, to demand for this?
We will not make a demand yet. This is just, it's early days. It started yesterday.
But we're told already that the investigations, the committee has begun it.
Yes, but I haven't been told that the committee is sitting in secret. If we are told that the committee is sitting in secret, then there will be issues. There may be, look, the law allows for in-camera sittings and judicial or quasi-judicial hearings in matters of national security, etc., etc. What does it have to do with national security? That there's allegation that monies were distributed to people under certain circumstances. Somebody said this, you said this, I said this, okay. So they're going to hide to do that. If Parliament does that, they would have it all over themselves. And if Parliament does that, they'll hear from the people of Ghana.
Are you surprised that this has blown out the way that it has? It's some kind of drama.
No, it's an event that's been waiting to happen. The allegations have been pending for quite a while. And so it was an event that was waiting to happen. And maybe it is fortuitous that it happened under these circumstances where there's a change of government, there's supposed to be an anti-corruption drive. If this is not true, it ought to come out. If it is true, it ought to come out.
They've got a month, 4 weeks.
Let's see what they can do in 4 weeks.
Is that a good time? Are you expecting that it would have been earlier?
It's difficult to know. Let's see how things pan out. And that's why the police should not be waiting for them. Let them take their own good time. Let them do give them as long a time as they want. This country isn't getting destroyed tomorrow. They give them as long a time as they want, but the police should also start their investigations.
Ms. Ankomah, we're grateful for your time this morning.
Thanks for invading my office.
And really, that will be it for the AM show. We thank you for watching. For me, Mama Biuswawadi and Roland Walker, and the entire team, really. We will see you tomorrow, God willing, at 6 a.m.